Hey guys, it's Mackenzie, your mommy's media medium, coming back at you on Podcast Thursday. What? I told you on last podcast, which was podcast, I believe, number 22. I told you that my mother in law was coming into town this weekend and that I wanted to do two podcasts back to back. I didn't know whether or not I was actually going to be able to do the two podcasts back to back, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, but look, here I am. It's Thursday. It's 3 p.m. I am starting this so late. I had some other stuff going on in the day that made me say, you know what? I don't want to be cooped up in the house all by myself, all by my lonesome, secluded from everybody. I want to go mingle and talk to some of my friends and mill all of this stuff over and just feel happy, because I feel like when you're stuck by yourself and you're alone with your thoughts, you can go to all kinds of different places as opposed to surrounding yourself with the people that you respect or love or just find plain funny and that can make you laugh instead of dwelling in your own misery. That's what I felt like was going to go on today. So I am just now sitting at the computer to record this podcast. I also haven't written down anything whatsoever. Nothing. Normally I have so many things written down. I have my phone in front of me and I'm ready to go. Today, all I have is my phone in front of me and I'm just going to wing it. This one, because I'm just going to deal with one topic, should go by really quickly. And like I said, this is only kind of like a filler podcast, mainly because I'm not going to be able to do it on Tuesday. If my mother-in-law happens to want to take a long walk somewhere, I'm going to try to still write out the podcast so that it's ready for the next week and I'm just, doing my show. But if not, this is your filler episode for next week. So today is April 5th. 2018, and it's pretty sunny outside. It's still cold. It's still like in the 30s, maybe 40s, and we're supposed to get some more snow this weekend. So happy day. Happy day, right? Like, I'm looking outside and it looks beautiful. But yeah, it's about to get real crummy and I'm not in the mood for it, especially given all the stuff that's been going on in the last 12 hours. But life must go on. Mercury's in retrograde. I know it's trying to keep me down. I know it's trying to pull me under, and I will not allow it. I'm not sending out any new messages. I'm not signing any contracts. I'm staying away from all that crap and just doing the podcast and trying to keep my head above water. As you can tell, my lisp is pretty dead on today. I started my new retainer yesterday and it's tight. It's tight as a mother. I can't wait for this weekend when it starts to loosen up because it's really tight. And I started the rubber bands as well. Now, I told myself that I wasn't going to do the rubber bands while I'm doing the podcast, but considering I'm supposed to be changing out the rubber bands every 4 hours, and I haven't changed them out since about 8:30 this morning, and I just ate, and that's 2 o'clock. That's well past the time, so I figure I'm just going to have to deal with it. It's actually not as bad as I remember it being. I can talk a little bit better, but like I said, that lisp is really heavy, but that usually happens on Wednesdays and Thursdays for me anyway. When I switch to a new retainer, it's pretty hard to talk without having the lisp because of the retainer gathering my teeth together and being all weird, and usually by the weekend I'm fine. That's why I like to do podcasts on Tuesday, because on Tuesday everything is kind of worn down to the point where it's just flimsy plastic. It's already formed to my teeth, so I'm talking like I normally would. But again, the show must go on because I have to get it done. And I guess let's go ahead and just get to it instead of just yapping about nothing for the next 45 minutes. I don't think this will take 45 minutes. I think this will take 30. And depending on how things go, this episode 23, might get released before episode 22. 22 is recorded on Tuesday, like I said, but 22 also has an ear candy blowout attached to it, which means I actually have to download music and cut the music and bring the music volume down to match the podcast, and that takes a little bit more effort than a normal podcast would take. So this episode, because it's going to be shorter and because it shouldn't be as detailed as last episode, episode 23 might get released before 22. You'll know it before I know it, of course, but I'll try to go ahead and get them out in the order in which I was recording them. But I know that 23 is going to be so much easier to edit than 22 will be. But either way, you'll get them, you'll hear them when you hear them, and let's go. So today's topic is aptly called, I think my body's gone crazy.
I think my dad's gone crazy.
Now, if you've never heard that statement or that inflection when someone says crazy, I love this song so much when I was, I think that came out in 2002. I was 20 years old and I loved Eminem. I loved trying to rap as fast as Eminem. I can't even talk as fast as Eminem does without throwing in words that don't go there and things don't go and I'm slurring and bunching up things that don't sound right. But I used to really be in love with Eminem, which right now, have you seen pictures of Eminem? Like recent pictures of Eminem. I saw him on, of course, G-Eazy's Instagram. I told you I need to stop following G-Eazy. I still have it. But he was on G-Eazy's Instagram about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I was like, who is that lady with the pretend beard on? And it was Eminem. And I was like, oh my God. 1, why does Eminem have a beard? 2, why does it look like he drew it on with like a Sharpie? And 3, what's going on with this whole beard, hat, female bone structure? I never paid attention, I guess, when he was like non-facial haired. And I guess I've never seen him with facial hair, but he looked literally like a woman who had put a cap on and decided to like draw in a beard with a Sharpie marker. That's what Eminem looks like right now. But anyway, moving on. So I titled this, I Think My Body's Gone Crazy, and it is a play on words from the Eminem song because I loved Eminem and it just seemed like it would fit. But yes, I think my body has gone crazy, guys. And not just crazy. I mean, my body has gone bonkers. But I guess that comes with the territory when you get pregnant and have a baby. Your body goes through so many like hormonal changes, body changes, things stretch out and aren't put back to where they're supposed to be after you had the baby, and things just get all out of whack. And I've been diagnosed with a handful of things since I've had my son, which is not annoying at all, by the way. It is annoying. It's very annoying because, you feel like I produced this human and I'm glad my body is able to do crazy things, and it's a beautiful thing to carry a child into the world and all that junk. But at the same time, it's like after all is said and done, I would like my body to go back to normal. And I'm not saying like I need to be as small as I was when I was in high school or anything like that, but it's like I would like to not feel like my intestines are falling out of my stomach when I do a crunch. I was diagnosed with a hernia around 18 months after he was born. I have a thin frame and I had a 9-pound baby. So you can imagine how stretched out I was, especially given the fact that he was 9 pounds and 22 inches long when he came out. So he was just as equally scrunched up as I was huge, trying to carry him to his full gestation. But yeah, I had a hernia and I didn't know I had a hernia. I just figured now after I had a baby, I would have an outie. And then one day I looked down and in my outie, I could see stuff moving. So either I was A, impregnated by some kind of alien and needed to seek medical attention ASAP, or B, something else medical-wise was going on with me and I probably needed to get it checked out. Either way, I needed somebody to give me a medical opinion on why it looked like I had an alien going through my body. And it was, my intestines had pushed out through my abdominal wall because I had rectidiastases, where your stomach muscles, this is fun, right? Your stomach muscles separate. So they're no longer flat abs, they're pulled apart. And it's so nice now when I go to lay down, if I go to sit up, my abs do a V shape instead of a flat shape. Yay for me. So you have the fact that I have rectidiastases, you have me having a hernia and I had to have hernia surgery. And the newest thing that I was just diagnosed with, I told you, I think in episode maybe 18 or 19 that I had just gone to the doctor. I had gone to a dermatologist's office and I felt so happy because the lady at the dermatologist's office was like, oh my God, I thought you were going to say you were 22. And that made me feel good, whatever. That was it was the day after Valentine's Day, right? Yeah, so that was February 15th. Basically, for about 2 months, I've had the diagnosis of androgenic alopecia. That's what I went to the dermatologist for. And if you are unfamiliar with the terminology, androgenic alopecia basically just means you're balding. You're losing your hair. In females, it's like thinning of your hair in your hairline or in your hair part, if you part your hair to the side or in the center. That's basically what it is. It's the thinning of the hair. It's just men have more of male pattern baldness that ends up taking a lot of it out, and women just have general thinning that can just be in certain spots. It can be down your hairline, or it can kind of take over the whole frontal portion of your hair, just like a man's would if it is not properly treated. So I noticed after I had my son, of course, that I did what most women have after they have a baby, is my hair started to shed. When I was pregnant, my hair was thick, it was luscious, it was so thick I couldn't do anything with it. It was kind of annoying, but I wish that I had the energy to take care of it when I was pregnant, because it was beautiful and thick and luscious, but I was tired all the time because I was pregnant. So it was just like, what do I do with all this hair? Like, what is all this about? And I attributed it to pregnancy hormones, but I thought more of it was because I was taking the prenatal vitamins, which has all the good vitamins that you need to keep all your systems and everything going and have a healthy baby. But it turns out for most people, at least more than half of women, that hair that you grow during pregnancy eventually starts to shed. So you have the postpartum shed that happens roughly around 2 to 3 months. I started to have that around that time, which was luckily for me right around the time that my friend Megan was having her wedding. So that was ultra fun, right? To be losing your hair and you're about to be in a wedding. So I cut really nice bangs. I had little blunt bangs and I had a little bob. So I looked like a little Asian girl at my friend's wedding. But it was the only thing that I can do, because I've had side swept bangs for the last 10 years and there was no swooping that was going to go on without letting you know that I was losing the hair right in the temple of my hairline, and it was horrible. So I figured, okay, I looked online, I Google all the time, that's what I do. So I Googled and it's like, yeah, that's a postpartum shed. Most women experience it around this time. It usually starts and then it'll stop after a couple of months. So I'm like, okay, let's just keep an eye on it and I'll deal with it as it goes. But it turned out it never really stopped for me. And I was like, okay, so when is this going to stop? Maybe after I stopped breastfeeding. Well, I continued to breastfeed my son until he was around 18 months. That's right about the time that we cut it off altogether, which was like, hallelujah. Pro tip for anybody that's out there: if you are pregnant, if you know somebody that's pregnant, if you're about to breastfeed for the first time, when your child starts to wean themselves, all babies start to self-wean. If they start to self-wean at a certain time, go with the flow, follow their lead. Don't do what I did, where my son started to self-wean at about 9 months old. And I was like, no, I'm not ready to stop breastfeeding. Mainly because I wanted that extra hormone in me to not have to worry about having a period. That's what my whole rationale behind it was. But when they start to self-wean, follow their lead, because if you wait beyond that point, it becomes a whole thing where you're having to take certain steps and just having to take certain measures to get them off of breastfeeding. It's a whole thing. I've known people who've had to breastfeed for like 3 years, mainly because their kid was being so adamant about continuing to breastfeed. Even though it was only 1 to 2 times a day, they still needed to have that. Now, of course, if you're the type of person that wants to breastfeed your child until they're 10 or 11 years old, more power to you. But at some point I said, this is around the 12-month mark, that I was like, I want my body back. I want to just get back to my hormones being a little more balanced and just getting everything back into a harmony. Anyway, I wanted to get my boobs back. My boobs were all kinds of wonky, especially because he stopped breastfeeding on one side before he started doing the other side. So I had one boob that was like a C cup and another one that was like an A cup. And it just looked like my boobs were winking at you if I didn't have a bra on, like the winky face emoji that you have on your phone. It was a whole thing. But yeah, if they start self-weaning, let them self-wean. Pass that on to your friends. Keep that in mind for yourself if you're going to be breastfeeding for the first time, if you're pregnant or if you're about to have a baby or whatever. Keep that in mind. If they start to self-wean, you follow their lead. But anyway, so we stopped breastfeeding at around 18 months. And I said, okay, so I stopped breastfeeding. I'll give myself maybe 3 months, usually 3 months is a good time for your body to get used to certain things. I know I mentioned this in another podcast where I said you should probably be switching out your toothpaste every 3 months, your shampoo, all that kind of stuff, because it takes roughly around 3 months for your body to get used to a certain thing and kind of start building up a tolerance to that thing. So you kind of want to switch it up so that your body gets a little bit of a shock. So I figured, okay, 3 months after the fact, I should be good to go. And I wasn't. It kind of kept lingering. So at this point, I was like, all right, we know that my hair loss is still kind of the same, especially in one spot in particular. On my left side, in my temple, I noticed that it was just like not crazy thin, but thinner than I have ever seen. And, I thought maybe I've been sleeping in my son's bedroom. The pillow that he has a BB-8 pillow that I got from Walmart. I'm like, maybe I'm not washing that enough. So I started washing that thing on a weekly basis from when I'm laying in the bed with him. Then I'm like, well, maybe I need to stop laying on that left side. I need to start laying on my right side. Maybe it's rubbing too much. It was just a whole thing. I was just making all kinds of stuff up in my head as to why this was happening, but I didn't have any real reason other than it was falling out and it was getting thinner than it was previously and previously before that. So just around the time that my son turned 2, I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to start fresh. I'm going to chop all my hair off. I chopped it off to the shortest pixie cut I could, and I braided it up in box braids. Now, if you've never heard of box braids, and I don't even know if that's a correct terminology because there's so many different names for it, I've always just called it braids, individual braids. But if you've ever seen anybody out there, if you're not Black or African American or whatever you want to call yourself, if you're not of that persuasion and you've never had single braids, or if you're Caucasian, you don't know, I believe they're called box braids. I just call them braids, but they're single braids that look like a single strand of hair, only it's braided down. You have extensions braided from your hair down through the entirety of the hair that the extension is. So I decided, okay, I'm going to cut my hair really short. I'm going to start fresh. And I had the box braids for, I think, about 8 or 9 months, if not 10 months. And I loved it. I feel so free when I'm wearing braids. I remember in middle school and high school hating when my mom would say, let's braid your hair up. I'm like, I don't want to braid my hair up. Now, as a 30-year-old mom, especially now, like I would love for somebody to braid my hair up right now so I wouldn't have to worry about getting up and doing it. But it also felt freeing for me because at that time, my son was getting a lot more mobile. He was 2 years old. He wanted to run around outside all the time and go to the park all the time. And it's like trying to get up and get him done and get him ready. And especially at that point, he was 2 years old. His hair was roughly about shoulder length. So I'm having to do his hair, having to do my hair before we go out. It was a whole thing. So I was like, you know what? Let me just braid it up. And it was great. I could get up, put my hair in a ponytail, and then go about our day and not have to worry about it. And I left those in, like I said, I believe from around April 2016 till about October or November of 2016. And that's when I took them out. And my hair loves when it's in braids. Anytime my hair is in braids, it grows so quickly. My hair loves low manipulation, which apparently my hair shouldn't be attached to me because I'm all about manipulation. I'm always trying to manipulate my hair to do some kind of craziness. And it's like, girl, slow down, calm down. You don't need to do all that. But that's how I am. But when I'm in braids, it grows and it's thick and it's luscious. So when I took it out in November, my short little pixie that barely went past my earlobe, right at the base of your ear or whatever you want to say, it barely hit my earlobe. It had gotten all the way down to my chin. So in less than a year, my hair had grown 2.5 to 3 inches, which never happens. It never happens for me like that if I just have my hair out. That's not how my hair works. My hair always stagnates and stops at a certain point. It always grows very slowly. Maybe because I'm not giving it the nutrients it wants. Now I am. Now I'm very diligent about taking care of my hair, but at the time I really wasn't. But anyway, so I take out the braids and like I said, I had cut off all the damage. I cut off anything that was chemically straightened. I cut off anything that had been dyed or bleached, which I had done about 6 months prior to braiding my hair up. I had done some bleaching streaks to do it purple, and that started to break off. And of course, I know I've mentioned this to you before. I follow a ridiculous pattern with my hair where I chemically straighten it, I blow dry it, I flat iron it, I color it, I bleach it, and then I'm wondering why my hair won't grow or why my hair hits a certain length and it won't get past that, or if it looks limp and thin or whatever. That's how I've always done. It's just like, okay, well, it's not growing. Let me just cut it off. I told you 2 podcasts ago how I had a bad haircut, which wasn't a bad haircut, but to me at the time was a bad haircut, which started me using eyeshadows because I thought I looked like a boy. At around 24 years old, I went to this hairstylist that I had gone to since I was 18. I told her I wanted to switch up my style a little bit because I always had kind of like a medium bob. Never failed. Mackenzie in a bob. That's how you're always going to know Mackenzie if you ever grew up with me. If you went to middle school and high school with me, you know Mackenzie always had some kind of medium length bob. That's how I always did it. And I was like, let's change it up a little bit. Let's try something a little bit shorter. And by shorter, I meant maybe an inch or 2 below my ear, which is still a bob. It's just a shorter bob. It's not like the short bob, or it's basically, I guess, a medium length bob, which no, I guess that's not it either, because most people say when you have a bob and it's to your shoulders, that's a medium bob. So I don't know. I just wanted something just a little bit shorter than what I was used to. And my hairstylist didn't understand what I was saying, or she heard me wrong, and the short bob that was supposed to be just around chin length, just a little bit above it, ended up being above my ear. So it was short. As a matter of fact, what I was trying to recreate was Drew Barrymore in some movie, and I can't even remember what the movie is at this point, but Drew Barrymore had a black bob that came really short around her chin area, and then the back was kind of a long thing. It was supposed to be like a 40-ish-esque like hairstyle. And that's what I was trying to recreate. Damn it, Drew Barrymore. But anyway, so she cut it, and it was above my ear, and it was short, and I was just like, I don't know what to do with my hair. I cried. I literally cried like every morning for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And I'm not a crier, guys. I already mentioned that before. I don't cry. I'm very, very emotionally stable when it comes to stuff like that. So the fact that I got up in the morning and I was trying to do my hair and I couldn't figure out how to flat iron it because it was so short is indicative of how much it hurt me to my core that my hair was that short. But after about 2 weeks, I started to figure out how to do it and figure out how to style it in a way that was fitting to me. And then I ended up keeping that hairstyle for the next 10 years. Like every time I would say, oh, okay, I'm going to grow my hair out. Again, like I said, chemically straighten, blow dry, flat iron, I color it. I do not like my brunette hair. I have always dyed my hair since I was about 7 years old. My mom was dyeing her hair. She was dyeing my sister's hair. And I'm like, can I at least have my bangs done? I've always dyed my hair. I've always hated brunette hair on myself. I have had to grow to love it because it's the only style that I can do without my hair thinning out at this point. Like I have to have brunette hair. I do a lot of semi-permanent colors just to kind of keep it on the healthy track. But yeah, me and my brunette hair do not mix. I am all about the blondes, all about the reds. You know, I love bright colors. I love bright colors on my clothing, on my eyes, and on my hair. And unfortunately, my hair doesn't like that either. So, but anyway, so yeah, I told you I was going to tell you about that story where I cried because I couldn't figure out my hair. And then that ended up being the hairstyle that I kept for the next 10 years. As a matter of fact, like right now, my hair has grown longer than it has ever been in my entire life. And I keep seeing short hairstyles on people and I'm like, I'm getting itchy. I'm getting so itchy. I want to chop it all off again. But I'm trying to hold strong because I want to see how long I can actually get my hair if I'm treating it right and doing right by it. So cross your fingers that I am able to hold strong. But anyway, like I said, I took the box braids out. I was trying to go natural, the natural movement. Again, if you are Caucasian or any other race other than black, you probably don't know what the natural hair movement is, but it's basically people of African descent, people with curly hair, just saying that we want to keep our hair in its natural state instead of chemically straightening it and, you know, keep it just like that. And I tried to do that for a minute, but I didn't get very far, obviously. I was even into making my own like shea butter and hair cream. My sister still likes it when I make the hair cream for my niece, but I couldn't keep up with it because at this point, again, my son with his hair has grown past his shoulders by this point. At this point in his life, he's almost 4 and his hair is almost down to his butt. So the amount of effort that I have to put into his hair leaves little to any room for me to have any effort to put into my own hair. Now, of course, I could just say he's a boy, I want to cut his hair, but in that same respect, if he was a girl, I would have to do that anyway. Now, I wouldn't have to keep it long, but if he was a girl, people wouldn't question the fact that his hair is long. The fact that he's a boy, it's like, oh, you haven't cut his hair yet. When are you going to do a haircut? I don't see myself doing a haircut anytime soon. I love little boys with long hair. I don't know why. I always have, and I probably always will. And at this point, he's 3.5 going on 4. He doesn't want his hair cut. He identifies with his hair. He loves his hair. We went to downtown in our area this past weekend and I let his hair down. The last couple of months I've been putting into 2 little side twists just to kind of keep it manageable because he likes to rub his head all over everything, which tangles his hair. But I let him have his hair down on Saturday just for fun because I love the way he looks when his hair is down. And this dude was running around just shaking it back and forth in the wind. He loves it. He loves everything about his long hair. He always has. And when I say, do you want to get it cut short like daddy's? He screams, no, I don't want it. So at this point, I'm going to keep it long until he says that he wants it short. And even once he says that he wants it short, his hair has such shrinkage to it, which means basically the length that it looks when it's down is not the actual length that it is. If you pull it, it's a lot longer. When his hair is down, it hits about his shoulders. But if you pull it and stretch his curls out, they go down past the middle of his back. So he has such shrinkage that I would cut it and it would probably be short, but it still would be pretty long given the fact that he has shrinkage in his hair because I don't want anybody to mess with his curl pattern. Anybody out there, if you have any curly head kids, if you are pregnant and you're a mixed race couple, when it comes to curly hair, do not let anybody, just anybody cut it. This is the reason why people are paying top dollar for people who have a Diva Curl certification is because curly hair has to be cut in a certain way for it to maintain its curl. I've seen so many little boys, my nephew being one of them, where they have such a nice little curl pattern. Their hair does this certain little cute spiral and then somebody comes in and goes in with a buzz cut and then cuts it. And then now that hair will never grow back the same. And I've had a lot of different people say, yeah, I didn't know that you couldn't just buzz it off like you would do somebody else's. And my son who had this beautiful curly hair, now his hair is not the same. So anyway, I went off on another tangent. That's what I do. You know, I like to go all over the world. It's like ping, 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 ping. I like to hit them all the areas all at once. And you may be confused. I know I'm confused. I don't even know where I was going with this. Let me think about it. I think I know. But yeah. So anyway, I am a mess today. Mercury, save me from myself. So anyway, I tried to do the natural hair thing. It didn't work out. I went back to chemically straightening my hair, and that was November of 2016. And then you moved to March of 2017. I decided to bleach my hair, do a kind of ombre so I can do a color. And I had, at this point, started taking hair vitamins. I started taking what is called MSM, which I believe is one of the main things that helped me to start growing my hair to the length that it is. MSM is it's a compound. It's a vitamin that you can find anywhere. It's not some crazy drug that I'm just buying willy-nilly off the internet, even though I did purchase it in powder form on Amazon. You can go to the grocery store right now and pick up some MSM and buy it freely, and it's not a big deal. It's normally used for joint pain. It helps to, I guess, loosen your joints and you not have so much friction or something. But one of the side effects, like most things, they have a side effect to them. MSM's side effect is that it does cause your hair to grow, which if you're on a hair growing journey like I am currently, that does help. So I started to take the MSM right around, like I said, November of 2016 to see if I could get it to fill in this thinness that I was experiencing and still had been experiencing since I had my son. Again, I thought by doing the box braids and kind of taking my time off from manipulating it that it would help it to start growing, but it didn't. As a matter of fact, one of the first times that I had went to the hairdresser after I saw my son, I had only gone to this hairdresser not even a handful of times before I had my son. So she really didn't know me that well. But when we sat down and she was doing my hair, she was like, "Oh, you were the one that had the baby a couple of months ago." And I was like, "Yeah, I was." And she said, "Yeah, I noticed because your hair is thinning in the front," which happens to a lot of women. She was like, "That happens to a lot of women. So, don't worry too much about it. Just make sure you're taking your vitamins." And she gave me some hairspray that I can put in my hair to help it to grow. And coincidentally, I stopped using that a couple of months ago. And that's when I really started to notice my hair was falling out a little bit more. So maybe that stuff was really working. So yeah, so even her, who had only seen my hair less than a handful of times, saw that my hair was thinning at that point. And like I said, I went to get my hair dyed. I wanted to do something fun because the brunette, I did it for 6 months and I hated it. Like I was a natural brunette. I didn't do a semi-permanent color or anything. I was just my natural brown. And I'm cringing just thinking about it right now. I hate it so much. So I was like, I just want to do something fun. In hindsight, I should have said, let me just do highlights. But instead I did like an ombre. I didn't go straight to my roots because I'm trying to be healthier about it. I'm not trying to bleach on top of chemically straightened hair. Let it come out a couple of inches and then bleach it and just make sure that I'm deconditioning on a regular basis and all that kind of stuff. And Brittany, who has done my hair a lot more often than the lady that I see now, was like, "Yeah, your hair is thinning." And Brittany has 2 sons of her own. And she said, "Yeah, the lady that I go to told me to use Jamaican black castor oil." She was like, "You just rub it into your temples and it usually does grow back." And I looked this up after I saw Brittany. There are nothing but YouTube videos all over the place talking about how Jamaican black castor oil helps your hair grow back, helps you to grow longer eyelashes. If your eyebrows are falling out, they're thinning or whatever, you put Jamaican black castor oil on them, they'll start growing. So I was like, basically drenching my body in Jamaican black castor oil like 5 times a day during the spring of last year, and to no avail. It didn't really help me. It didn't help my eyelashes, but I also didn't get to keep up with the regimen. It's a lot. I see these girls on YouTube and they're like, "Oh yeah, all you have to do is once a night put it on and then once in the morning put it on." It's like, yeah, but that's on top of doing this, getting my son ready, getting myself ready, cleaning the house, folding laundry. Oh my God, I haven't folded my son's laundry. Ooh, I just thought about it. I washed his clothes on Sunday and it's Thursday? And I still haven't folded his laundry. I need to get to that after this. But anyway, so yeah, it's like, there's so many different dang steps to do. And I'm like, I just don't have the patience or the time to do it on a regular basis to see any kind of, I guess, real results. And if I am going to get results, am I going to have to do this for the rest of my life? Like doing that on a daily basis for the rest of my life. Like that seems a little excessive. But I tried it. It really didn't work. I still, every now and again, still put it on my temples because it does make my hair feel really soft. I really dig Jamaican black castor oil. It does add a lot of shine. I keep saying I want to do a deep conditioner with it because people swear by doing a Jamaican black castor oil deep conditioning before you wash your hair. So I really want to try that as well. But yeah, that was her little input. Like I did it and my hair grew back. Well, unfortunately for this gal right here, 2 thumbs towards myself, it didn't work. So at this point, I'm at a standstill. Like, what do? I deep condition my hair once a week religiously. Ever since I dyed my hair back in March of 2017, every week, like a habit, I make sure to deep condition my hair. One of the things that I really loved at the time that Brittany introduced me to is a mineral mud hair mask. It is amazing. It's by Safra and it's a hair mask that has 26 Dead Sea minerals and pure keratin in it. When I tell you I would put this stuff on my hair and let it sit for an hour or two, oh, the way that it would feel just like so silky and so smooth. I need to actually buy some more. I ran out just at the end of the summer and started using stuff from Shea Moisture, which I still love Shea Moisture. But this stuff is so good. It's expensive as all get out, but I think I paid $50 and it lasted for about 6 months, which is not in and of itself is not that bad considering it went about 6 months with a once a week application. So if you can try that Safra deep conditioner, you will not, I'm telling you, you will not be sorry. But anyway, so yeah, I was just at a standstill because I'm just like, what do I do? My hair has been getting thinner and thinner by the moment. I can feel in the front of my scalp, it doesn't feel as thick as the back of my scalp. Now, of course, if you follow anybody on YouTube like I do when it comes to natural hair, I started following a lot of people to help me figure out how to do my son's hair, because I've had chemically straightened hair since I was 10. I have never had to really deal with curly hair, and his curly hair is different from my curly hair, just like it's different from anybody else's curly hair. Curly hair has a mind of its own. You have really small curls, you have really big curls. So I just started watching all these natural hair tutorials to figure out how to do his hair, because I really like the way his curls are if I get them right. And if you watch any of these YouTubers, they'll tell you that everybody has different textures of hair throughout their hair. And if you have any kids, you've seen it yourself. You may not have noticed it, but you've seen it yourself when you see your kid's front of his hair or front of her hair is like a different texture than the it's not the nape. What is it? The crown. That's the crown of the head. The crown of the head on every kid, every toddler that's around 1.5 to about 3, they all have that weird hair right in the crown that just won't lay down. No matter what you do, you try to put product on it, you try to condition it, there's nothing that can be done to get that hair to not be all weird and dried out and be a horrible texture. Does anybody else notice that on kids? If you had kids or if you hung around kids, I always noticed that with my son. And once I saw it on my son, I would see it in all kinds of other little kids. And at first I thought, well, maybe it's because they're always laying on their back, but then they shouldn't have any hair because normally kids rub their hair raw to the point they're balding, which is why I thought that pillow was the reason why I was going bald. Because you're rubbing on it. But yeah, these YouTubers will tell you like everybody has different hair textures throughout their hair. And I see it with my son. In the front of my son's hair, he has these loose curls that don't tangle as easily as the back does. As long as he doesn't rub his head all over the carpet and the couch, which he does all the time. As long as he doesn't do that though, the front of his hair is so easy to detangle, and it's a loose curl, and you can actually see almost the length of his actual hair with the front of his hair. The back of his hair is a tighter, thicker coil, and it pulls up way tighter, so you can't tell the length of the back of his hair compared to the length of the front of his hair. Even though the front is shorter than the back, when you're just looking at it dead on, is a different texture, so it's tighter than the front. It's hard to explain, and maybe I'll post a picture on IG so you guys can see it, but everybody does have a different texture of hair throughout their hair. That is not something that's not uncommon. But at the same time, it's like I would feel in my scalp and I'm like, this does not feel like this. One side is not like the other. Like, what is going on? This is like now it seeped from just the little corner of my temple to now I'm feeling it all over, and I don't like that, and it was freaking me out. And of course, I had people saying like, oh, maybe you should stop chemically treating your hair. Maybe you should stop dyeing your hair. And I'm like, okay, when I dyed my hair, I made sure to do an ombre so that I wasn't putting any real damage on my roots. I was trying to let my roots grow out. And unfortunately, I can't not chemically straighten my hair. But at that point, I started to do a really expensive chemical relaxer that cost me $110. It cost me $110 every time I do this. And I try to stretch it out every 2 to 3 months if I can, because it's so expensive. But it's like, that's a $50 difference between a regular relaxer and this relaxer, because this relaxer is supposed to not be as harmful. It's supposed to be like plant-based. So first of all, my hair is not even getting as straight as it normally would because of the fact that this is a more expensive, less, I guess, harsh, harmful chemical that I'm putting on my hair. So there's no reason why that should be thinning. And if that's the case, if it's making my hair thin, then the thinness should be not only in the front, but in the back as well. And that's not what was happening. So I decided at the beginning of the year, I'm like, I got to get this checked out. I got to get this checked out because it's driving me literally out of my mind to not know what's going on. And I'm looking in the mirror and I'm seeing that my hair is just, it's receding even more. And it's not like, again, it's not like if you look at me, it's like, oh my God, she's gone bald. I know what my hair looks like. I know what my hair has looked like before. And it's not like this. But if you saw me on the street, you would just think, oh, okay, whatever. There's tons of people who have side temple area that's like non-existent. And there's tons of people who have a full hairline. You see Kim Kardashian had to like shape up hers and get laser hair removal because her hairline was coming all the way down to her eyebrows. Some people, you know, have it and some people don't. And that's just genes, genetics, whatever. But I was like, I have to figure this out. So your first step is to go to my gynecologist. I knew I could have gone to my primary care, but I was like, if this is something that's happening because of the birth control that I'm on or my hormones after I've had a baby, I would think that my gynecologist would be more adept to dealing with what's going on. So I went and they did a blood panel and the doctor was like, yeah, we're just going to see basically if either A, you're going through early menopause, which is yay, or B, if it isn't your thyroid. Now I kind of suspected it wasn't going to be the thyroid. I had my thyroid checked out just before I had my hernia surgery because my primary care was like, oh, your throat looks a little enlarged. That might mean something's wrong with your thyroid. I'm like, oh my God, do you have an Adam's apple? But yeah, she checked it and she said it was a little bit enlarged, but there was nothing going on. I had a follow-up the following year. So I kind of figured that it wasn't the thyroid, but at the time I thought that maybe it was some kind of omen that it might be my thyroid because every time I turned around, there were women talking about the fact that they had, I think it's Hashimoto's. Yeah, I think Hashimoto's disease, which is Zoe Saldana, Gina Rodriguez. There was somebody else. I'm like, oh my God, all these women are being diagnosed with it. And basically it's a thyroid disease. And this particular disease can make you lose hair. It can make you gain weight. It can make you lose weight. It can make you fatigued. It can make you have insomnia, which are all the things, the list of things that I've had wrong since I've had my son. Like I have a whole plate full of things that have gone wrong since I've had my son. My memory, I've told you a million times, my memory is shot. It is so shot. I can sit here in a podcast and be talking about something and go completely blank because I've forgotten what I was trying to get at. And now, of course, I've done that in the past before I had my son, but I know I've said to you that I'll be talking to him and I'm like, I need you to go into and then blank out for a good 10 to 20 seconds because I can't find the word that I'm looking for. Bedroom, kitchen. It's just like, why can't I come up with the word? Like my brain can't process it. So it made sense to me that it has to be the thyroid. It has to be. So I get my results back and it's like, nope, it's not your thyroid. Your thyroid is normal. And good news also, you're not going through menopause. So I was like, okay, well, that's great. So it just means that I'm balding for no reason. Like I'm just losing my hair. Great. So they said, no, at this point, we're just going to have to refer you to a dermatologist, and a dermatologist will help you figure out what's going on. So I immediately made an appointment with the dermatologist, and I love this lady. The minute I went in there and I started telling her my story, she knew exactly what was going on. That's the reason why I chose her when I started to look up a dermatologist in my area. I specifically chose her because of the fact that she specializes in dermatology for women, and it had a whole slather of stuff on their website, but the fact that she specialized in women's care when it comes to dermatology is a reason why I went to her. There's another doctor in their practice that is literally around the corner from my house. I could have walked to this place, but because she specialized in the women's aspect of it, I drove 20 minutes to their other office to see her. And like I said, I was telling her my story and she was like, yep, I've seen it before and it's not uncommon. You had a baby, your hair during the pregnancy, it switched on a little hormone that made your hair grow. And once you had the baby, it switched back off. And normally for most women, it'll switch back on again once you've shed that extra hair that you've gotten during your pregnancy, but yours unfortunately didn't switch back on. And she was like, it's manageable. You don't have to live your life with thinning hair. She said, as a matter of fact, I had the same diagnosis, only mine's brought on by stress. She's like, if I get really stressed out, my hair starts falling out in clumps. So the management that I'm going to give to you is the same management that I'm currently on. And that made me feel at ease, because here is this woman. She's a beautiful Asian woman. She's like 35. I think she had just turned 35 when I talked to her, because we were talking about how old we were. And she was like, yeah, you just have to manage it. And unfortunately, because you have genetics that are going up against you and you had a baby, there's nothing that can be done to stop it. All we can do is manage it, but it is manageable and you don't have to live like that. And I was like, awesome. So the diagnosis that she gave me is for androgenic alopecia. WebMD says that the majority of women with androgenetic, also called androgenic alopecia, have diffuse thinning on all areas of the scalp. Men rarely have diffuse thinning, but instead have a more distant pattern of baldness. So that's where it differs from men to females. Some women have a combination of the two pattern types. Androgenic alopecia in women is due to the action of androgens, male hormones that are typically present in only small amounts. Androgenic alopecia can be caused by a variety of factors tied to the actions of hormones, including ovarian cysts, taking high androgenic index birth control pills, pregnancy, and menopause. And it says most of the hair loss in women is associated with DHT, a derivative of the male hormone testosterone. So basically that's what she told me. She's like, everybody has DHT. Your body is supposed to be blocking that DHT. When your body is no longer able to produce the things to have the DHT be blocked, you start to have thinning. Now, most men have this more than women. Women do have testosterone in their system, just like men do. Men have estrogen in their system, just like women do. It's just men have a higher level of testosterone and women have a higher level of estrogen. That's what makes us different. But we all have the exact same hormones. The problem with me is also, I know I mentioned this, I was diagnosed with endometriosis, which means that I have an excess of estrogen. That's one of the things that I'm currently on with my birth control is a low estrogen birth control, because adding estrogen to my system is a recipe for disaster for my endometriosis to run rampant and take over and basically kill me. It won't kill me, but it won't make life pleasant at all. So it's like, not only is my body low in estrogen anyway, because the birth control pills are making it so, I also have this imbalance of DHT that's now been surged up because of pregnancy. And then you have genetics that are in the factors where your body can't produce the hormones that it needs to block the DHT. So that's where you start losing your hair. So initially, I was going to tell you guys about this literally right after it happened, because I had no shame. I was like, okay, fine. The doctor told me that I have to be on an antifungal shampoo, which sounds so dirty. It's antifungal shampoo. So I have an antifungal shampoo. She's like, make sure you take your hair, skin, and nail vitamins on a regular. We want to make sure once your hair starts growing in that it's thick and healthy, which hair, skin, and nail vitamins usually have biotin. Anything that has a high concentration of biotin will help you have really strong, healthy hair. So she's like, make sure you take that. And I'm also going to put you on Rogaine for women. The Rogaine for women is the same thing as the Rogaine for men. It just depends on whether or not you want the 2% or the 5%. The 5% is the highest concentration. The 2% is the lowest. If you want faster hair growth, you want to do the 5%. If you don't care how fast it comes in, then you'll just do the 2%. And she's like, just follow that particular regimen. And in about 6 months, we should see your hair growing back in. Now, I guess I didn't mention with the antifungal, sometimes hair loss is caused by a fungal infection. Isn't that fun? So she's like, it could be a fungus, but I'm more than likely sure because you had a baby, it's because of the pregnancy, but it also could be fungus. And when I told Joanna this, she was like, remember I told you my dad lost his hair from fungus? And I was like, oh my God, and I made fun of you, but she was probably right. But yeah, so she's like, we're going to follow this regimen. I want you to come back in 3 months, which I'm like, okay, why do you want me to come back in 3 months? Because if you just said I'm not going to really notice anything for 6 months, I don't feel like I should come in for a follow-up in 3 months. That just means you want my copay money. Great, whatever. But she's like, come back in 3 months. We're going to check to see how things are moving. But I really don't think we'll see much effect until around the 6 month area. And I was like, okay, fine. I got to use Rogaine for the rest of my life. I got to use this antifungal stuff. And I just got to make sure I take my vitamins, which I should be taking my vitamins on a regular basis anyway. Now I just have to make sure at this point that I take it when I take my hum pill first thing in the morning. The reason why I kept forgetting to take the vitamin in the afternoon is because I was trying to do it with food. And sometimes I remember, sometimes I didn't. Now I just power through that vitamin high that you get, and you kind of get queasy to your stomach when you take a vitamin. I just try to follow it up with coffee or my Dan Actives. I've been taking Dan Actives every day for the last couple of weeks. Once I get that on my stomach, the vitamins don't hit me as hard as it normally would if I just did it on an empty stomach. But yeah, initially I was like, yeah, I'm about that life. And then a couple of days later, I got really, weird about it. And then I was like, I am going to have to do this for the rest of my life. Like, I don't know if I like this, and I don't know if I want to tell people about this. And as I looked on the internet, there were a bunch of women who have dedicated websites to women who have androgenic alopecia. The websites that I saw were people who were like, they didn't want to use the Rogaine for the rest of their lives, so they were finding other natural ways to do it. One website I found was a girl who was diagnosed with this at age 26. 26 years old, and she was losing her hair. At least, like, I feel like, okay, I'm like decaying. I'm 36, so it makes sense that I'm losing my hair, and I had a baby. But this girl was 26, and she was like, I'm about to be off my parents' insurance. I can't afford to buy the antifungal shampoo. I don't want to use the Rogaine for the rest of my life. So she started to research other things, and she found DHT blockers, which I am currently taking. And she, instead of using an antifungal shampoo, uses like tea tree oil, which I was using a tea tree oil before this. I use a tea tree oil conditioner in my hair when I'm washing my hair. So maybe that's what's been keeping me from going completely bald. But through these websites, I found other natural remedies that may help me to not have to do the Rogaine. Like I said, I really don't care about having to do the Rogaine. It's just doing the Rogaine itself. One, is time consuming. I already have a hard time doing my nighttime facial regimen. Adding the Rogaine to that nighttime regimen makes it even harder. Two, the Rogaine, when you put it on your hair, it makes your hair have a really weird grody feel. Like, grody is not a word, but it's like a weird residue-y like type feel. When I put Rogaine on, it makes my hair feel like I haven't washed my hair in weeks. And I wash my hair once a week. If it's a good week and I've been working out, it may even jump up between 3 and 4 days, but normally it's about once a week. I don't have the type of hair that needs to be washed every day. My hair, African descendant hair, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't need to be manipulated that much. It doesn't need to be washed that much because it is drier than most hair. So washing my hair every 5 to 7 days is roughly around the time that it needs to be done. So trying to put on Rogaine 7 times a week, the way my hair feels by the end of the week is disgusting. Oh, it just feels so gross. It's like I haven't washed my hair in months. That's how bad it is. So I was like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Maybe once or twice a week, I wouldn't mind. But if I have to do this 7 times a week, I'm going to have the nastiest hair. It may be long, it may be full in the front, but it's going to look like it's dirty all the time. And I don't want that. Or not look like, it'll feel like it's dirty all the time and just not have any movement or any body. So I looked up DHT blockers. I'm currently on a DHT blocker from a company called Advanced Trichology. Advanced Trichology says that their products have produced remarkable results on thousands of men and women since 2002 inside Evolution Hair Loss Institute. They say that their products are always used in conjunction with people who are trying to restore their hair growth. So I'm like, okay, these BIAs are $42 a packet for a month. A month supply is $42. I am not a fan of that. But they do have a money back guarantee. They say if you use their product for 4 months, like I said, they say you shouldn't see any real results between 3 and 4 months. But if you don't see any results within 4 months, they'll give you your complete money back. And I'm like, okay, deal. If you are willing to give me my money back, if this doesn't work, I am all about it. And also, they give you a free sample of another product. I ended up getting the same product because I was like, okay, these bitches are $42. I'm getting the same thing. That way I have 2 months supply instead of having to worry about buying another supply later on. But I have to take 2 of those pills in a day, and I have to take 2 of those pills at night. I also subscribe to start taking their hair, skin, and nail vitamin. I had just run out of my normal hair, skin, and nail that I normally get from Nature's Bounty. That's the one I mentioned a couple of podcasts ago that you can go to any grocery store and get like a buy one, get one. It's normally about $20. Their hair, skin, and nail vitamin is like $39, but it has almost double all of the ingredients that the Nature's Bounty has. So that's why I said, okay, if I'm going to be in, I'm going to be all in. And since they say that they will give you your money back if it doesn't work out, it's not like I'll lose out, right? So I'm doing their DHT blocker, I'm doing their hair, skin, and nails, and then I've taken it down. It took about 2 or 3 weeks, but I've taken the Rogaine down to about 2 to 3 times a week, if even that. It just depends on how I feel. But I think, and I could be just making this up in my mind, but I think I'm seeing a lot of hair growth. I think I'm seeing stuff coming in, and I don't know, because again, they say you're not supposed to see anything for 3 to 4 months. It's only been 2 months. It hasn't even been a full 2 months, and I feel like I'm seeing hair growth. Now, if it's the MSM, the DHT blocker, the hair, skin, and nails, and the fungus shampoo, and the Rogaine just working all together, and all of this is coming up, then great. It might even just be the antifungal shampoo. To be honest with you, that's the thing that I've been using the most consistently. And if it is fungus, because like I said, with the Rogaine, it said it's going to take about 3 to 6 months for you to see any hair growth, but I'm already seeing hair growth. So it could have been a fungus issue, which is gross. Why is my hair got fungus in it? Like, what is that about? What am I doing wrong? I wash my hair once a week. I know people who go way longer than that and don't have fungus, or maybe they do have fungus, but I don't know. But it's like, I keep on my hair. I've always kept on my hair. I've always been really weird. Before I got married, before I had kids, I was washing my hair every 3 to 4 days. That's how much I was keeping up on my hair. So, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, at this point, and I'm about to wrap it up because I've talked way too long. I knew I was going to talk a long time, but I love to talk. I have to get it out. And my son and my husband are about to come around the corner because it's time for pickup. But yeah, I feel like I'm seeing hair growth. I'll keep you abreast of this situation and let you know. If you have any questions, hit me up on social media. I'm happy to share it. But like I said, I was really weird about it at first. I didn't want to share it. Then I was like, why am I so weird? It affects a lot more women than we know of. You could be talking to somebody right now that's having that issue. They're just not sharing it with you. And that's fine. We all have stuff going on. Like I said, I have endometriosis. I've had a hernia. I have all kinds of stuff going on with me. And I think people need to share their stories, because if you don't share it, then other people think that nobody else is going through the same that they're going through. I had infertility issues for the longest time, brought on by my endometriosis. And I have a friend who's currently going through the same issues, and she's like, I feel like I can't talk to anybody. And I'm like, you can talk to me, but yeah, I went through it too. And I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't tell anybody that we were doing IVF. I didn't tell anybody we were doing IUI. I didn't tell anybody because I didn't feel like I had anybody to, confide in that would understand. And I think by sharing the story with you, maybe you're losing your hair. Maybe you know somebody else who's losing their hair. Maybe this will help them to start a conversation and get the help that they need to get their hair growing again. I am a female. I am attached to my hair. I have always been attached to my hair. I love my hair. My sister has always said since I was a little kid, like a baby, she was like, you came out the womb looking like you have a wig on your head. And even now, that's one of the main compliments that she always gives me, is like, oh, your hair always looks like you just have a wig on your head. I'm like a bad wig or a good wig? She's like, no, it's a good wig. Like, it always looked like it's just fake. It's just, really great hair, but it was thinning, and it was hitting me at my core. It was hitting me to a point where it was making me self-conscious. And the fact that I'm taking care of it, the fact that I'm getting the issue resolved, makes me feel good. And it makes me feel good to be able to share this with you as well, because like I said, maybe you're going through it, maybe somebody else is going through it, and maybe you can share my knowledge with them, and maybe that'll give them the courage to go to a dermatologist. First of all, go to your doctor. Go to your doctor first, get blood work, because there could be other things going on, other issues, and you're not taking care of it. But if everything comes back normally and they say you need to go to a dermatologist, go to a dermatologist and have them talk to you and figure it out. Don't just sit in silence and be going bald because you don't know how to talk to anybody about it. And that's it, guys. That is my second podcast for the week. I talked a long time. Oh my God. But I feel good. I feel really good. Like I told you, I was feeling like really weird earlier in the day, and I thought by secluding myself it would just be bad news bears. And I think being around my different friends, I was texting friends, and I went to one friend's house, I went to another friend's job, and just kind of hung out, and it made me feel good again. I needed to feel good because I got some, not bad news, but just news that I'm just like, God dang it. Like, why does life have to be like that? Why do people have to be crappy? This person is crappy. I told you there's people who just don't know how to do anything but dirt. And this person does dirt, and I don't know why they do dirt, but they do dirt, and I'm still trying to be their friend. But anyway, that is it. Catch me next week, or no, catch me in 2 weeks for my next podcast. Follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Mommy's Media Medium. I'm on Twitter as Miss McKenzie. I'm on Snapchat as CoolChica311. And that is it. Don't go bald, guys. Get it checked out, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Mama, I'm talking now. Let's talk. Yes, bye.